This book is about learning how to use capital with clear thinking and calm judgment. Capital is not only money kept or invested, it also includes time-energy skills, reputation, and relationships. Every day, we allocate capital through choices even when we are not aware of it. Some choices strengthen our future, while others quietly weaken it. Smart capital allocation is the art of placing limited resources where they can create steady value over time. This idea is inspired by value investing, which focuses on discipline, patience, and margin of safety. But this book expands the idea beyond markets and prices. It is written for individuals, founders, and families who want durable progress, not temporary success. The goal is not to be busy, but to be effective. Before learning how to grow capital, we must first understand what capital truly is. Only by seeing its full meaning can we protect it and use it wisely. This naturally leads to the first principle, which explains the real meaning of capital and why it must be respected before it can be multiplied. Chapter 1. The meaning of capital. Capital is often misunderstood as only money. In reality, capital is anything that can be used to create future value. Money is one form, but not the most important one. Time, health, skills, reputation, relationships, and trust are also capital. They work together and influence each other every day. When people focus only on money, they often damage other forms of capital. Long working hours may grow income, but weaken health and family ties. Short-term profit may harm reputation and close future doors. This is poor capital allocation even if money increases. Smart capital allocation begins with awareness. You must see all the resources you control and how limited they are. Time once spent cannot be recovered. Trust once broken is difficult to rebuild. Health once damaged demands a high price to repair. Because these forms of capital are fragile, they deserve protection first. Money should serve life, not replace it. Its true role is to support stability, freedom, and long-term choice. When money is used without purpose, it creates stress instead of security. When it is aligned with values, it becomes a quiet strength. Capital also behaves differently based on how it is treated. Protected capital survives. Neglected capital decays. Well-placed capital compounds. This is true for money and also for skills and relationships. A skill practiced daily grows stronger. A relationship nurtured with care deepens trust. These invisible returns are often larger than visible ones. Understanding capital also means understanding risk. Risk is not only volatility or uncertainty. The greatest risk is permanent loss. Losing money temporarily is painful, but losing the ability to recover is fatal. This is why safety is the foundation of all smart decisions. Before asking how much can be gained, ask what can be lost forever. Many people confuse activity with progress. They move capital constantly hoping for better results. But movement without understanding increases mistakes. Wise allocators slow down first. They define what must be protected and what can be exposed. Once you understand the full meaning of capital, your thinking changes. You stop chasing quick rewards. You begin to respect durability and sustainability. You realize that capital is not something to gamble with, but something to steward. This understanding prepares the mind for the next principle. After knowing what capital truly is, the next step is learning how to think about using it. That requires a shift in mindset from short-term thinking to long-term ownership. This leads naturally to the idea of thinking like an owner, which is explored in the next chapter. Chapter 2. Think like an owner. Thinking like an owner is a mindset shift. Most people think like users or spectators. They focus on immediate results, comfort, or approval. Owners think differently because responsibility changes perspective. When you own something, your decisions become more careful and deliberate. An owner asks long-term questions. Will this still be valuable after many years? Will it survive difficult periods? Will it strengthen or weaken what I already have? This way of thinking applies to money businesses, careers, and even relationships. In investing, an owner does not watch prices every day. Prices move for many reasons that have little to do with real value. Owners focus on fundamentals, durability, and usefulness. They care about what an asset produces over time, not how it looks today. This calm focus reduces unnecessary action. Short-term thinking often leads to frequent changes. Frequent changes increase costs, mistakes, and stress. Each action feels productive, but many actions cancel each other out. Owners avoid this trap by committing only when conviction is strong. They accept that boredom is often a sign of a good decision. Thinking like an owner also means accountability. You cannot blame others for outcomes. Every allocation decision carries consequences. This responsibility encourages learning and self-correction. Mistakes become teachers instead of excuses. Owners also understand trade-offs. Growth usually requires sacrifice. Safety often means slower progress. An owner chooses consciously instead of emotionally. They know that every benefit has a cost, and every shortcut has a hidden risk. Another important part of ownership thinking is alignment. Owners align capital with values and goals. They do not chase opportunities that conflict with their principles. This alignment reduces inner conflict and decision fatigue. Clarity becomes a competitive advantage. In families and businesses, ownership thinking creates stability. Decisions are made with continuity in mind. Quick wins that damage trust are avoided. Long-term relationships are valued more than short-term gain. This approach builds reputational capital that compounds quietly. Ownership also teaches patience. Real value often grows slowly. Trees do not grow faster because you pull them upward. Forcing growth can destroy what you are trying to build. Owners allow time to do its work. When you truly think like an owner, you stop asking how fast you can grow. You start asking how long you can endure and improve. This shift changes how you evaluate risk. You become more sensitive to downside than upside. This naturally leads to the next principle. Once you adopt an owner mindset, you begin to see that survival comes before growth. Protecting capital becomes more important than chasing returns. This prepares the foundation for understanding why safety must always come first, which is the focus of the next chapter. Chapter 3. The Rule of Safety First. The most important rule of capital allocation is survival. If capital does not survive, it cannot grow. Many people ignore this simple truth because loss often feels distant and unlikely. But history shows that most failures come from ignoring risk, not from lack of opportunity. Safety first does not mean avoiding all risk. It means avoiding risks that can cause permanent damage. Temporary discomfort can be recovered. Permanent loss cannot. Smart allocators always separate these two. People often define risk as uncertainty or price movement. This definition is incomplete. Real risk is the chance of losing capital in a way that prevents recovery. This includes bankruptcy, broken reputation, lost health, and destroyed trust. Once these are gone, future options shrink dramatically. The rule of safety first asks a simple question before every decision. What happens if this goes wrong? If the answer threatens your foundation, the decision is too dangerous. Growth that risks ruin is not intelligent growth. Many disasters come from leverage and overconfidence. Borrowing increases speed, but also increases fragility. When conditions change, leverage turns small mistakes into large failures. Safety-minded allocators respect uncertainty. They build room for error into every decision. This margin of safety applies beyond money. In careers, it means avoiding dependence on a single fragile skill. In business, it means keeping enough liquidity to handle shocks. In families, it means not risking harmony for short-term gain. Buffers reduce stress and improve decision quality. Another enemy of safety is imitation. Following what others are doing feels comfortable. Crowds create false confidence. But when everyone moves in the same direction, exits become narrow. Safety requires independent thinking and restraint. Patience is also part of safety. Rushing into decisions reduces analysis and increases blind spots. Good opportunities remain good tomorrow. Bad opportunities pressure you to act quickly. Learning to wait protects capital from unnecessary exposure. Safety first also changes how success is measured. Instead of asking how much was gained, you ask how well capital was protected. A modest gain with strong protection is superior to a large gain with fragile structure. Longevity is the true scorecard. This principle applies across generations. Families that preserve capital think in decades, not seasons. They accept slower progress in exchange for continuity. They understand that staying in the game is the greatest advantage. Once safety becomes the foundation, decision-making becomes clearer. Many attractive opportunities are rejected without regret. Energy is saved for situations where risk is controlled and understandable. After learning to protect capital, a new question appears. If safety is secured, how do we choose between many possible uses of capital? Every choice excludes another. Understanding this trade-off is essential. This leads naturally to the next chapter, which explores opportunity cost awareness and why every decision carries an invisible price. Chapter 4. Opportunity cost awareness. Every decision uses capital. When capital is used in one place, it cannot be used somewhere else. This invisible trade is called opportunity cost. It is present in every choice, whether small or large. Ignoring it leads to wasted potential and silent loss. Many people judge decisions only by what they gain. They forget to ask what they gave up. A project may earn money, but consume time, energy, and focus. Another option might have produced more value with less strain. Without comparison, the true cost remains hidden. Opportunity cost applies to money, time, and attention. Spending money on one asset prevents investing in another. Spending time on one task removes time from rest, learning, or family. Spreading attention too widely weakens results everywhere. Awareness brings clarity and discipline. Smart capital allocators compare before committing. They place options side by side. They ask which path strengthens the whole system. They consider return, risk, effort, and alignment with values. The best choice is not always the one with the highest return. Sometimes the best decision is doing nothing. Waiting preserves optionality. It allows better information to appear. It avoids locking capital into mediocre uses. Patience reduces opportunity cost by keeping doors open. Another common mistake is sunk cost thinking. People continue investing in poor decisions because of past effort. They feel attached to what was already spent. But capital does not remember the past. Only future outcomes matter. Letting go of weak allocations frees capital for better ones. This requires emotional maturity and honesty. Admitting a mistake early reduces long-term damage. Reallocation is a strength, not a failure. Opportunity cost is especially important for founders and families. In businesses, every hire, project, and expansion consumes focus. Too many initiatives dilute execution quality. Families face trade-offs between lifestyle security and growth. Clear priorities reduce conflict and regret. High-quality opportunities are rare. They combine reasonable safety with attractive return. They also fit your skills, temperament, and long-term goals. Most options fail one of these tests. Saying no frequently protects capital for the right moment. Understanding opportunity cost changes behavior. You become selective instead of reactive. You stop chasing every possibility. You build a filter that screens decisions quietly. This filter saves time, money, and mental energy. As awareness deepens, another truth becomes clear. Even the best opportunities require waiting. Capital cannot be rushed into greatness. Time is a necessary ingredient for quality outcomes. This insight prepares the ground for the next principle. After choosing wisely, you must allow results to unfold. Endurance and restraint become strategic advantages. This leads directly to the next chapter, which explores patience as a deliberate and powerful strategy in capital allocation. Chapter 5. Patience as a strategy. Patience is often mistaken for inactivity. In reality, patience is an active decision to wait for quality. It is one of the most powerful tools in capital allocation. Those who lack patience pay a hidden tax through mistakes and stress. Modern life encourages constant action. News alerts, opinions, and comparisons create pressure to respond. This pressure leads to rushed decisions. Rushed decisions reduce judgment and increase regret. Patience restores clarity. In capital allocation, time works in two ways. It reveals the strength of good decisions. It exposes the weakness of bad ones. When you wait, you allow reality to speak. This reduces reliance on prediction. Patient allocators understand that not every moment is equal. Some periods offer few good opportunities. Others offer rare chances that justify action. Waiting preserves capital for those moments. This selectivity improves long-term outcomes. Patience also protects against emotional errors. Fear pushes people to exit too early. Excitement pushes them to enter too fast. By slowing down, emotions lose control. Process replaces impulse. Compounding depends on patience. Small advantages need time to grow. Interrupting compounding resets progress. Those who constantly change direction never allow momentum to build. Staying the course multiplies effort quietly. In business, patience means building before expanding. Rushing growth often weakens foundations. Strong systems take time to develop. Customer trust grows slowly but disappears quickly. Patient builders create durable enterprises. In families, patience supports harmony. Long-term goals require short-term restraint. Quick financial wins that create conflict are rarely worth the cost. Steady progress builds confidence and unity. Time becomes an ally instead of an enemy. Patience also sharpens judgment. When you are not rushed, you think more clearly. You see second-order effects. You notice risks others ignore. Calm observation reveals deeper truth. There is also patience in holding. Once capital is well allocated, constant adjustment is unnecessary. Frequent interference often reduces results. Trusting a sound decision requires emotional strength. This strength separates professionals from amateurs. Patience does not mean passivity forever. It means waiting until action is justified. When the moment arrives, decisive action follows. Preparation allows confidence without haste. As patience becomes a habit, another challenge appears. When good opportunities finally come, they often require commitment. Spreading capital too thin reduces impact. The question shifts from when to act to how much to commit. This leads to the next principle. After learning to wait wisely, you must learn how to focus wisely. Balancing focus and risk is essential. This is explored in the next chapter, which examines concentration with care and how to commit capital without exposing yourself to unnecessary danger. Chapter 6. Concentration with Care. Concentration is the act of placing meaningful capital behind a limited number of ideas. It is powerful because focus increases impact. When capital is spread too thin, results become average. When it is focused with understanding, results can become exceptional. Many people misunderstand concentration. They confuse it with recklessness. True concentration is not blind commitment. It is selective commitment based on clarity and preparation. Smart allocators first narrow choices carefully. They eliminate options that lack durability or understanding. They study a few ideas deeply instead of many ideas superficially. Depth reduces surprise. Understanding creates confidence. Concentration works only when safety is respected. If one decision can destroy everything, concentration becomes dangerous. This is why earlier principles matter. Safety, opportunity cost, and patience prepare the ground. Without them, focus becomes fragile. Concentrated capital should be placed where knowledge is strongest. Familiar territory reduces error. Unknown areas increase risk even if returns look attractive. Staying within your circle of competence protects capital quietly. Another element of careful concentration is position size. Not every good idea deserves maximum commitment. Uncertainty should always influence scale. The more you know, the more you may commit. The less you know, the more restraint is required. Overconfidence is the main enemy of concentration. Early success can create false certainty. This leads to ignoring warning signs. Humility keeps concentration healthy. Questioning your assumptions preserves flexibility. In business, concentration means saying no repeatedly. Too many projects dilute leadership attention. Resources are finite. Focus strengthens execution. Clear priorities outperform scattered ambition. For families, concentration means clarity of purpose. Wealth should serve a few meaningful goals. Trying to satisfy every desire weakens outcomes. Aligned focus reduces conflict and confusion. Shared direction strengthens trust. Concentration also requires endurance. Focused decisions often look wrong before they look right. Short-term noise tests conviction. Those who react too quickly lose the benefit of focus. Staying steady allows value to emerge. Careful concentration is balanced by review. Periodically reassess assumptions. If facts change, adjustment is wise. Rigidity is not strength. Thoughtful flexibility protects concentrated capital. When done correctly, concentration simplifies life. Fewer decisions mean better decisions. Mental energy is preserved. Progress becomes easier to track. As concentration matures, another force begins to work quietly. Returns start generating additional resources. Capital begins to feed itself. Growth no longer depends only on new effort. This natural process leads to the next principle. Once capital is wisely focused, the key question becomes what to do with the returns. Reusing gains intelligently determines long-term success. This brings us to the next chapter, which explores reinvestment and compounding, and why repeated small gains can create extraordinary outcomes over time. Chapter 7. Reinvestment and compounding. Reinvestment is the decision to use returns to create more returns. Compounding is the result of repeating this process over time. Together, they form one of the most powerful forces in capital allocation. Many people understand this idea in theory, but fail to practice it consistently. Compounding works quietly. It does not create excitement in the early stages. Results appear small, and progress feels slow. This is why many abandon the process too early. Those who persist are rewarded later. Reinvestment requires discipline. It asks you to delay gratification. Instead of consuming gains, you redirect them back into productive use. This habit separates builders from spenders. It turns effort into momentum. Compounding applies beyond money. Skills improve faster when learning builds on prior knowledge. Reputation grows when trust is reinforced repeatedly. Relationships deepen through consistent care. These forms of capital often compound faster than financial capital. Interrupting compounding resets progress. Withdrawing too often weakens growth. Frequent changes slow momentum. Stability allows accumulation. Consistency beats intensity over time. Smart allocators plan for reinvestment from the beginning. They design systems that automatically reuse gains. This reduces emotional interference. Process replaces temptation. Long-term outcomes improve quietly. In business, reinvestment fuels expansion and resilience. Profits used to strengthen systems create durability. Reinvesting in people, technology, and culture increases future capacity. Short-term extraction weakens long-term strength. Families benefit from reinvestment thinking as well. Education, health, and shared experiences generate lasting value. These investments rarely show immediate financial return, but they create stability and opportunity across generations. Compounding also depends on time and patience. Small differences in consistency produce large differences in outcome. Missing early years cannot be recovered later. Starting early and staying steady matters more than timing perfectly. Risk management remains important during compounding. Returns should not be reinvested blindly. Quality must remain high. Reinvest only where durability and understanding exist. Protecting the base keeps compounding alive. As compounding progresses, capital grows more sensitive to mistakes. Larger bases require greater care. Preservation becomes as important as growth. This balance must be maintained continuously. Over time, reinvestment creates independence. Growth no longer relies on external input. Capital becomes self-sustaining. This freedom is the reward for early discipline. However, another challenge emerges with growth. As capital increases, emotions often intensify. Fear of loss grows alongside opportunity. Managing behavior becomes critical. This leads directly to the next principle. When capital reaches meaningful size, Emotional control determines outcomes. Without discipline, gains can be quickly reversed. The next chapter focuses on emotional control and allocation, and why mastering behavior is often harder than mastering numbers. Chapter 8. Emotional Control in Allocation. Emotions play a powerful role in every capital decision. Fear, greed, pride, and impatience quietly influence behavior. Even the most intelligent plans fail when emotions take control. Mastering capital therefore requires mastering yourself. Fear often appears during uncertainty. It pushes people to protect themselves too quickly. Good decisions are abandoned at the wrong time. Losses are locked in unnecessarily. Fear mistakes temporary pain for permanent danger. Greed appears when results are strong. It encourages excess and overconfidence. Risk is increased just when caution is needed. Past success is projected blindly into the future. Many reversals begin at moments of excitement. Emotional reactions shorten time horizons. Long-term plans are replaced by short-term impulses. Consistency is sacrificed for relief or thrill. This erosion happens gradually and often unnoticed. By the time damage is clear, recovery is harder. Smart allocators design systems to reduce emotional influence. They set rules in calm periods. They decide in advance how to act under stress. Process replaces improvisation. Preparation becomes protection. Another tool for emotional control is simplicity. Complex systems increase anxiety. Too many decisions amplify stress. Simple frameworks are easier to follow during pressure. Clarity supports discipline. Awareness is also critical. Recognizing emotional signals prevents automatic reaction. A pause between feeling and action creates space for reason. This pause is a competitive advantage. Most mistakes occur without it. In business, emotional control stabilizes leadership. Teams take cues from behavior. Calm responses build confidence. Panic spreads faster than facts. Controlled leaders protect organizational capital. In families, emotions around money are deeply rooted. Fear of insecurity and desire for comfort often clash. Clear communication reduces misunderstanding. Shared principles create stability. Emotional discipline preserves relationships. Another challenge is external noise. Media opinions and social comparison amplify emotion. Constant exposure weakens independent thinking. Reducing noise improves judgment. Silence often leads to better decisions. Long-term success favors those who remain steady. Emotional swings create unnecessary turnover. Stability allows compounding to continue uninterrupted. Calm behavior sustains progress. As emotional control strengthens, perspective widens. Decisions are no longer isolated events. They are seen as part of a long journey. This view encourages responsibility beyond oneself. With growing capital, another dimension becomes important. Decisions begin to affect others directly. Family, future, and legacy come into focus. This transition leads naturally to the next chapter. Once emotions are managed, the question becomes purpose across generations. Capital must be guided not only by returns, but by values. The next chapter explores family and legacy thinking, and how long-term stewardship shapes wise capital allocation. Chapter 9. Family and Legacy Thinking. When capital grows, its influence expands beyond the individual. Decisions begin to shape families, communities, and future generations. At this stage, capital allocation becomes stewardship. The goal shifts from personal success to lasting continuity. Family and legacy thinking require a longer time horizon. Short-term gains lose importance. Stability, harmony, and values become central. Capital is no longer only a tool for growth. It becomes a responsibility. Many families lose wealth not because of poor returns, but because of poor alignment. Unclear goals create confusion. Different expectations create conflict. Money amplifies existing issues instead of solving them. Clear principles prevent this outcome. A strong legacy begins with shared understanding. Why does the family hold capital? What purpose should it serve? Security, education, freedom, contribution are common answers. Without clarity, capital pulls in many directions. Communication is essential. Silence creates assumptions. Assumptions create resentment. Open dialogue builds trust. Trust is one of the most valuable forms of capital. Family capital should be allocated with balance. Some resources protect stability. Some resources support growth. Some resources strengthen relationships. Ignoring any area weakens the whole system. Education is a powerful form of reinvestment. Teaching principles is more important than giving money. Understanding creates independence. Entitlement creates fragility. Prepared heirs protect legacy better than large inheritances. Another key element is governance. Clear roles reduce confusion. Defined processes prevent emotional decisions. Rules established early avoid conflict later. Structure supports harmony. Patience is especially important in family decisions. Different generations move at different speeds. Rushing change creates resistance. Gradual alignment creates cooperation. Time smooths transitions. Legacy thinking also includes values beyond wealth. Reputation, integrity, and contribution matter deeply. Short-term gain that damages character weakens legacy. Long-term respect strengthens it. Capital should reflect the family story, not contradict it. Families that succeed over time separate control from emotion. They make decisions based on principle, not pressure. They review choices regularly. They adapt without abandoning core values. This flexibility preserves relevance. Legacy is not about control from the past. It is about guidance for the future. Strong foundations allow future generations to adapt confidently. Rigid control limits growth. Wise stewardship balances freedom and responsibility. As legacy thinking matures, another realization appears. No strategy remains perfect forever. Conditions change. People change. Understanding must evolve. This leads to the final principle. After protecting values and continuity, capital must remain adaptable. Learning must continue. Systems must improve. The next chapter explores continuous learning and adaptation, and why long-term capital allocation succeeds only when curiosity, humility, and reflection remain active across time. Chapter 10. Continuous Learning and Adaptation. No capital allocation strategy is permanent. The world changes and conditions evolve. What worked well in the past may weaken over time. Smart allocators accept this reality early. They treat learning as a lifelong responsibility. Continuous learning begins with humility. Confidence is useful, but certainty is dangerous. Believing you already know enough closes the door to improvement. Markets, businesses, families, and societies all change their behavior. Only flexible thinking survives these shifts. Learning comes from observation, reflection, and correction. Every decision creates feedback. Some feedback is immediate. Some appears slowly over years. Patient review reveals patterns that emotion hides. Mistakes are unavoidable. What matters is how they are handled. Ignoring mistakes repeats them. Studying mistakes transforms them into assets. Experience becomes valuable only when examined honestly. Adaptation does not mean constant change. Frequent adjustment without understanding creates instability. True adaptation is thoughtful and selective. Core principles remain steady. Methods evolve as conditions change. In investing, this means reassessing assumptions regularly. In business, it means updating systems without losing culture. In families, it means respecting tradition while allowing growth. Balance between stability and flexibility preserves strength. Information overload is a modern challenge. Not all information improves judgment. Noise creates reaction, not wisdom. Smart learners filter carefully. They seek understanding, not stimulation. Learning is also social. Listening to diverse perspectives reduces blind spots. Respectful disagreement sharpens thinking. Isolation increases error. Strong networks improve decision quality. Adaptation requires courage. Changing course can feel uncomfortable. Admitting past decisions no longer fit reality is difficult, but clinging to outdated views weakens capital over time. Flexibility is a form of protection. Another aspect of learning is teaching. Explaining principles clarifies understanding. Sharing wisdom strengthens legacy. Teaching forces simplicity and honesty. Knowledge grows when passed forward. As capital matures, learning shifts focus. Early stages emphasize growth and opportunity. Later stages emphasize preservation and meaning. Both require adjustment. Awareness of this transition prevents misallocation. Continuous learning keeps capital alive. It prevents stagnation. It strengthens resilience. It aligns decisions with reality instead of habit. When learning and adaptation become habits, capital allocation becomes sustainable. Decisions improve quietly over time. Errors shrink. Confidence becomes grounded, not emotional. This completes the framework of smart capital allocation. From understanding capital to protecting it. From focusing wisely to compounding patiently. From managing emotion to guiding legacy. And finally, to learning without end. Capital, when guided by clarity, patience, and humility, becomes a force for stability, growth, and long-term peace.